Hi, I'm Jordan Hernandez, and this is Just Start Podcast. Thank you so much for clicking play. Today we have Larissa Salvador, originally from Brazil, and now she's an attorney. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited about this.
So are we. And I have a whole slew of questions. Larissa, tell us a little bit about where you're from.
So I'm originally from Rio. And I personally believe it's the most beautiful city in the whole entire world.
Rio. Okay.
In Brazil. Look it up. It's beautiful.
I've seen
Carnival's
pictures.
Beautiful. The beaches are beautiful. And I actually came to the U.S. with my family when I was 11.
With the Brazilians, I learned 2 years ago with some of my student leaders that it's very like family oriented.
Extremely family oriented.
So like the families all know each other.
Yes.
And I found that when you remember, we saw two students who were hurt and we went to the hospital and you helped with translation. I was kind of talking with the doctor. And after that, I'll never forget this. One of the parents, he invited, I don't know if you were there or not. He invited us over for like dessert.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole family was there. I walked in, I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going over to, the students, the parents' place and just to see how they're doing. Cause they were laid up, right? They had a motorcycle accident. And so they had all of these treats, desserts.
Yes.
They had the neighbors over.
Bread,
right.
Ham and cheese.
Yep.
And butter.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because they were calling me Chew. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I later found out that just like in Spanish, tío, it just means uncle.
Yeah. It's the equivalent of unk. You know how like in slang, a lot of kids, it depends on the area. And I learned this from like a lot of my friends in New York.
Sure.
They would just be like, unk. And I was like, what in the name of the Lord, you know?
I learned from a student, actually. He told me, Mr. H, and he's like, he's first generation American and he just moved here from Brazil. And his name is Victor. And he just goes, because I would always be like, Ermo when he came walking in. He goes, it's funny because when you say that, it reminds me when I was in Brazil and I hear someone say, Ermo, I run.
Yeah, because they're coming for your wallet.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because Ermo just means brother. It's like hermano, right?
Yeah.
So it just means brother. It's like, hey, bro, come here. And then he just takes off.
Exactly. Never answer that call.
I'm learning. Right?
Unless you are at your own house or your grandma's house.
That's different.
Don't answer that call.
Don't answer that call. If you're at your pie, if it's your pie,
exactly.
It's you, it's okay. And so it's interesting because it doesn't matter what country you're from or what language you speak. We all struggle with the value and identity, which isn't going to be just in the number of likes and the followers you have. Like I know people are always thinking like, what's my ratio of who I'm following versus how many followers? Like, who cares? Like, who cares? No. I know some people do.
But why?
But why? No, like it is pretty arbitrary.
Are you getting paid? Like, if your Instagram is making money,
then
bro,
fine.
Yes, please care about your analytics.
Do you?
But if you're not getting a paycheck, time is money, boo.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
I don't understand. Why are you investing all this time on something that's not giving you a return that's healthy for you?
Yeah. What is the return on investment?
Exactly.
You're investing so much into this. Like I have some, my brother, right? He plays a lot of Fortnite. He plays a lot of video games. And then, like, I remember...
I have trauma with that. Like, don't even get me started on video games.
Yeah, I remember his girlfriend just being like, Jordan, he not only plays the video games for hours, he then spends hours watching other people play it on YouTube. And I'm like, what? So you were just talking about how you've struggled with anxiousness. It started when you were in high school and you felt a lot of pressure from your parents. You know that you wanted to perform well so that move to a new country was worth it for them.
Oh, yeah. And not only that, I mean, I was about to complete 4 years of high school that I literally busted my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I graduated as battalion captain for Boca High's ROTC.
Wow.
I had some of the top grades in my class. I was it.
Yeah.
According to the standards that the education system had put in place.
Yeah.
I had so many community service hours that I could give the minimum to each kid that was graduating with me and still have plenty.
Wow.
In my head, I had done everything right. So how could I feel like everything is going to end so wrong?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, well, but we go through these moments all the time. Like, we don't know tomorrow. I'm like, shut up. Because all the kids that have social security numbers and that were born in America, if they want to, they can go to college.
Right.
They know that they have that choice. They can, file for Bright Futures or, qualify for. I could have qualified if I had a social. So all these things there was just so much anxiety, and I would cry all the time. And I remember one time I was in the courtyard by where the guidance counselors were, Boca High. Now they're still there. And there used to be a vending machine.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still there.
It's still there.
Perfect. So that vending machine, I almost broke.
Wow.
Because it was after practice, it was after drill practice, and I was overwhelmed. We're getting ready to go to nationals. I'm thinking about college. Now remember, I put a coin in, and my chip wasn't coming out.
Okay.
And that chip was like the end of me.
The bag of chips.
Oh, yeah. The bag of chips will not come out. And I remember that being the point where my friend comes and I'm literally hitting the machine crying.
Wow.
Because the bag of chip it represented me investing all this money and all this effort at the time into something. But the bag was not going to fall down. Like, I was not going to get what I wanted and what I thought I quote unquote deserved from the work that I put into it. And at that point, my anxiety was at peak. And that was the first time that I was 17. I had to take a step back and think, okay, this has nothing to do with what you deserve and you don't deserve. Life does not work that way.
Right.
Are you going to work hard enough to get it?
And some of these kids, and I don't mean, listen, phones are great. We have phones. I'm on Instagram. I have a Snapchat, like whatever. It's not it's not the use of these things. It's the abuse of these things. Like anything, right?
Absolutely. It's like phones have become almost as bad as cocaine.
Well, the doctors say that, right? Like my wife teaches psychology. I know that sounds a little intense, but
it's true.
It gives you the same release of dopamine when you
true.
get a certain number of likes, a certain number of clicks, a certain number of views, a certain number of DMs.
Yes.
And I know for some of these girls, and obviously like I gotta be careful, but their parents are calling me and they're asking these questions and they don't know how to turn it off.
Yeah.
They're getting all of their value from just click, 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 click,
strangers
click, click, click.
that they don't even know.
Right. And like, they don't really know what a healthy relationship looks like.
No. And then parents don't really know how to deal with it. And I mean, when I was in high school, my parents wouldn't even give me a phone until my sophomore year. That's number one.
Yeah.
I had no phone. And
Good.
number two, my phone had no camera.
What? What? No camera?
No camera, bro. Nothing. There was no Instagram.
Man.
I did not have 1,000 followers.
You know what we had? AOL Instant Messenger.
With creepers.
Creepers. I still remember putting up like my statuses and like copying and pasting Dave Matthews like
absolutely
songs.
Because we still heard music and listened to the lyrics.
Right. And it's funny, we see some of these kids choosing relationships that are precarious, dangerous, and not healthy.
No.
And then you look at their relationship with their parents and what that's like.
Absolutely.
I read somewhere that for some dads, it's very important to date your daughters, which I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I read it and I was like, oh, that's not weird at all.
Yeah.
Not weird at all.
For girls, their dad is their first male relationship that they will ever have in their life. Like that's their whole love map is created there. And for guys, I remember, I don't know how it is here, but in Brazil, people always say like, you know how a man will treat you according to how they treat their mom. Like, pay attention to how that guy treats their mom, because that will be a telltale sign about how they're going to treat you, because that's their love map.
Yeah.
That's
important.
And when you look at that, there are a lot of guys that don't care about their moms, don't care about their mom's feelings, don't care about if they hurt her. I'm like, you know what? You are not going to make a good husband because you are a sucky human being.
You're an orchid.
Exactly.
You're an orchid. Don't be an orchid.